for women listening who maybe they're stuck in a restrictive cycle of eating, what advice would you give to someone right now who's struggling with feeling like they can't eat certain foods, or they're consistently restricting them from certain foods? Like, do you have any advice for them, what they should focus on?
Yeah, I'd go back to telling someone. You got to talk to someone about it, because when it's hard for anyone to know that you're dealing with that unless they're seeing you at every meal. So they're super close to you. And even then, it's really easy to let that food noise in your head just take over every moment of your day. If you notice that, to where you're eating a meal and you're thinking about the next one, that's a sign that you need to like get it out of your own head and talk to somebody about it, because it's like, it can be solved in many different ways, but it can be solved a lot faster if you tell someone and you get some professional help, honestly, because it's just a huge waste of your time. So if your time is valuable to you, yes, it could be expensive to bring a pro in, but I feel like I wasted a full year of my life with that constant thinking. And even before this fitness journey, my whole life, I look back and think, oh, I do remember being at a meal and worrying about, should I be eating this, or just not knowing, and just letting it fester in my own head. So I think telling someone.
Even just a friend, because if you're keeping it a secret.
Exactly.
That's a sign.
If you're eating in secret, you're afraid to go out to eat because you can't control what choices you make. Yeah, a lot of food noise is being worried about what other people think about what you're eating.
Yes, correct.
And so then you avoid certain situations, so you're not doing it. And then if you're like me, opening your fridge in the middle of the night and just standing eating a tub of cookie butter. And that's super common. No wonder if you're like alone by yourself and all you're thinking all day is just this chatter.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I vividly remember because I struggled with binge eating due to wrestling and all of that. I remember when I was counting calories, every time I started the day with whatever food I was eating, it was just a countdown until I was not allowed to eat anymore. And I feel like that's a common struggle people will have, where if they have an issue with food, it's here's the countdown until I'm no longer allowed to eat. And it's that anxiety building up with every single bite. Oh, there's one less bite. And then they finish and they're still really hungry, but they feel like they can't eat anymore. And I remember in college, I was in the university library and I had a buddy, his name was Kyle, and he was eating a banana nut muffin. And they had the calories on it was like an 800 calorie muffin.
Oh gosh.
I'm a small dude.
Yeah.
And that was like half my daily calories at that point in my life when I was like being super strict and rigid. I remember he offered me half. He was like, do you want half? And in my mind, I was just like, how can this dude eat this without anxiety? That's so many of his calories for the day. And I really think it's something to be aware of. If you're constantly wondering, how could someone possibly eat that food without fear or anxiety? That's a sign that you've got something that you need to talk about with a professional.
Yeah. And just anxiety alone, where I just realized I started doing neurofeedback. Sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent.
Yeah, please.
I started doing neurofeedback. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not.
Okay, so just like what you're saying and talking about food noise and the anxiety around, oh gosh, I'm going to run out. It's similar to the feeling of feeling like you're running out of time.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I've always done, especially in my professional life, is plan. Like I plan in my head, okay, after this, I'm going to do this and then that. And then tomorrow I got to worry about this. And then I got this, picturing my schedule and then planning out the conversations that I'm going to have with people, planning, never truly being in the moment. So I started doing neurofeedback because my friend, Molly Galbraith,
yeah, she's awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I do need to get her on the podcast.
I think I asked generally, like, what was one thing that you never would have imagined would change your life? And she was like, doing neurofeedback. I never realized I had anxiety. And that was my exact experience. I was like, let me try neurofeedback. I'm sure I got something wrong with me. And so you train your brain waves to think in different speeds, or like to move in different speeds. So your brain waves have like super slow speeds when you're about to fall asleep, and then really fast speeds when you're like chatter, going crazy, and you just had coffee, and your brain just doesn't shut up. And then there's like a middle ground where you can sit down and have a conversation. And so thinking of all those times when I was dealing with anxiety around food, I would just plan out similar to how I would plan out my day. I would plan out all my meals in my head and think, okay, I'd be eating, okay, this is breakfast, and then I'm going to have a snack, and then I'm going to have this, and you're just stressing yourself out. So anyway, neurofeedback, I didn't realize how good it was working until I got a massage. And when I would get a massage before neurofeedback, that would be my time to plan. Let me plan out everything when I'm supposed to be chilling and relaxing. No, that's my time to plan out my life and rethink every conversation I've had in the past week. And so one time I showed up to the massage and I was just like, oh, I'm not thinking about anything.
That's awesome.
Wow. I'm like, oh, this really did work for me. Okay, now I see what Molly was talking about with neurofeedback. But yeah, there totally is life on the other side where you're not thinking all the time and overthinking what you're putting in your body.